Welcome to the Coquitlam Whiskey Barrel Podcast with your hosts, Uncle Corey and Uncle Dono.
Recording off some bullshit.
He left his Stanley Cup back on the ice in 1980.
It's embarrassing.
Let's give Corey a round of applause like you were the fucking service staff at a wedding.
Who shot you? Separate the weak from the obsolete.
I don't have enough ice.
It's not recording yet.
Hold on.
Oh, there we go.
There,
That's
that's...
a pathetic amount of ice.
Well, fuck, I forgot we used to do it. What a great day to be alive.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back, baby.
We're on opposite sides of the last time, I think. Because the last time you were on that side. I think it was the Trump episode was the last time we did
I can't recall. We're going to be a little bit rusty. Things are going to get off the rails pretty quick here, but we'll figure it out.
We were born to figure it out. So, welcome to the fifth?
Season 5, baby.
Season 5! This feels like a good season.
I think at this point, like, YouTubers have got to have millions of followers. If they've gone for 5 years and they don't have millions of followers, what are they? They've quit, right?
Yeah.
We don't quit.
No. No, we don't.
No.
We peter them out semi-annually.
Yeah.
And, well, I can get you scissors. We peter them out semi-annually, and unfortunately, people still listen, like to the idiots who are gotten 2 minutes in at this point right now.
I still don't know. You know that episode where we like crested 300 views?
Oh yeah. That's the kid. I think that's season 1 or season 2, episode 6.
Yeah, well, we used to put them back.
Mhm.
We really did, and now I don't know what's going on. We're trying to. You got some weird.
We're figuring it all out. It doesn't really matter, okay? There's ice in the glass. There's a splash in front of us where everybody's having a good time. So welcome to season 5. Fuck what's going on the side of this here. We're going to get this thing out. I told you fucking idiots that the phone's open an hour and 45 minutes ago. And unfortunately, none of you have fucking texted or called or done anything. So that's fine. So you can listen to this now and realize that you didn't make the podcast, but you wouldn't have made the podcast anyways because you're lazy and you're sad and all of you don't have the fucking effort that what it takes to develop season 5 of this podcast.
Well, it's kind of part and parcel to the whole league. Cheers, by the way. Mm-hmm. Who everybody has an opinion and wants to be the guy, but no one wants to put in the work to make it happen.
Oh, God, you want to go there already?
No. No, but I'm saying that's kind of the theme of our league.
Yes.
Everybody's got an opinion.
Right.
Until it's time to make the right call.
Yes. Unfortunately, and, well, actually, in keeping with our league, the reality is this, is that I will be one of those people who sits on the sideline and bitches, but who we've been left with in those cases, like, for 10 years, the worst commissioner in the history of commissioners, let me just take that, in the history of commissioners, had left us with the most inefficient, non-existent guy who absolutely just never had time for stuff that took on-the-fly thinking. So we ousted him. Now, but we dealt with him for 10 years, and now when it comes to planning things, doing things, unfortunately, we're left with a guy who can get all that done, but then we got to deal with all the rest. So it's like before we had to deal with the commissioner who was there in title and we needed a commissioner, so we had one. And now we need an event planner and a guy who gets shit done, and we have one. It's just, unfortunately, just like the commissionership, he couldn't do that job. It's all the social decorums,
right,
of them making the plans.
Right.
I think. I don't know. I don't really have opinion, strong way or the other. I'm just happy I'm not doing both, like the other 11 people listening to this fucking podcast right now.
The good news is that we kicked off the year on a great note.
Yes.
Yeah, we all had some fun.
We're in love.
Shared some
Oh,
laughs.
right. Yeah.
We went up to the Shangri-La of Nicola Lake, as it were.
Yeah.
You know, it was just tight for space.
Tight for space.
Yeah. We were shoulder to shoulder. It wasn't, I mean, you can't ask for too much.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. There was enough for, almost our entire draft was theirs. So 9 out of the 12 people who would have been eligible to come, which would have
Yeah.
put, I guess, 2 people for every floor that fucking house has.
Yeah, potentially two.
Yeah, so, yeah, real-
and about 4 people per boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just cramped.
Yeah.
Cramped for space.
Yeah.
You know, when I was concerned about bringing a sleeping bag and my own portable fan, and then I realized that when I got there that he had more than one boat, that it was silly for me to ask if I should have brought my 18-inch oscillating fan just to help with the temperature situation.
Right.
When he's got 4 interior air conditioners.
Yes. Yeah. But we made do.
We made do.
We made do.
We toughed it out.
Yeah.
We grinded.
Yeah.
Some would call it glamping.
Glamping, I think, is a little bit more extravagant than what
Oh,
we were doing.
yeah, that's true.
It's just, your summer cabin at the cottage.
Yeah,
Kind of thing.
and it went off without a hitch. I think it went off without incident. I think that we all walked away happier that we had all been a part of it.
All I can tell you is that the 9 of us that were up there had a great time.
We did. That's a true story.
We had some fun.
That's a true
Yeah.
story.
We shared some laughs. We had a good time. And we drafted, and we played some fantasy football right off the get-go.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great day.
We did this crazy thing where we drafted and made it available to everybody, even those ones that couldn't be there.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Instead of having to figure out phoning in or Skyping in, the commissioner went out of his way to find a different platform
Right.
to make it very easy. So by the touch of your phone, you could draft.
Yeah.
It was great.
from the moon if you had Wi-Fi.
If you're
Or,
or on the golf course or at Cultus Lake or something. Like
Whatever.
that. Wherever you were.
It
I
doesn't-
can think of all the different.
Well,
places.
this is what I'm saying. Like, this is the whole planning of events.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're dealt with the guy who will make everything happen so that you could be in the middle of the Sahara Desert and draft. You know what I mean? Like, nobody else was willing to do that.
Right.
And then, if we have a problem with it, he doesn't give a fuck about
See,
it.
my thing is that my planning is a blessing and it's a curse.
That's what I'm saying.
I like to have a good time.
Of course
I don't
you
know
do.
about you, but I like to have a
You
good time.
do.
There's
You've
some
always
people-
been that guy.
There's some people who don't like to have a good time.
So, well-
For me, on draft day, having a good time means everybody's there to draft. There's no issues
Well,
like
to
that.
the best of their ability, but
yeah, and we're having some fun.
Sure.
So when there's people who, after knowing about the draft since November, decide, day of that they're not coming, I have to make some moves to make sure that at least they cannot hinder our draft experience. Make sure they can make picks there in the moment.
Yeah, well,
So we have some fun.
well, and I think that I can say with confidence on behalf of the rest of the league is just thank you for putting that all together and making that happen. Because if I would have been on the side of the road and if the car had blown up and I had to draft from the side, you had made it so that I could do that.
Yeah.
No. And without you, we wouldn't have been able to do that.
No.
Had we left it into the hands of other people, maybe we wouldn't have been able to draft at all. I mean, at the person who used to, traditionally has had us over for draft or football events, you'd think that he would have organized something, but it looked like with 4 days to go, we would have had the draft canceled if it was in his hands.
Yeah.
Well, that's thankful for you. Either way.
And shout out to Amit for being an awesome host.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, we had a great time.
Yeah, you don't have real world problems till you have boat person problems.
Yeah.
One of your boats
The
goes
good
down.
news is that he's got that backup boat, so he didn't miss any boating time.
No, he got all the boating in that he could.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to talk a little bit about draft?
I think
who had a
that-
good draft? Who had a bad draft?
I
How did it
think
go?
that
What
that's
do
the
you think?
only way that we can deal with this because unfortunately we just finished week 2. So if you're ever looking at this in the archives or the history books, we are in week 2. We just finished week 2 of the 2021 football season. So unfortunately we weren't able to put together a podcast episode for the last 2 weeks, but we'll hopefully be able to do it next few weeks. I'm wide open.
Okay.
We'll be able to do this.
We'll put some out. If the people want it, the people will get it.
So we'll do a quick recap of the draft from 3 weeks ago, and then we'll talk about what we got going on.
How the first 2 weeks of the season have gone.
Yeah, and we'll
I
see
like
if there's any reason to get hot about any other things.
Picking first overall was Michael.
Michael Fanuff?
Yeah. Do you want to run his team or do you want to go round by round? Let's just run his team.
Let's
right?
run his team.
Okay.
Sure.
So he goes McCaffrey, Miles Sanders, Hopkins, Josh Allen, Kyle Pitts. Does it matter what else he took after that? I don't know.
Well, read it. Just
Okay,
for...
Ronald Jones, Juju, James Conner, Zach Moss, Mike Williams, Hollywood, Boston Scott, Mark Ingram.
I'm just going to turn off the fan. just because I'm concerned about the mic. But anyways,
We got a little bit of background noise, so no surprises where he started, and then I think it just kind of went off the rails.
Yeah. Well, as Hinton so eloquently put it.
I mean, I'm a Miles Sanders guy myself, so I'm fine with it. But
Well, as Hinton so eloquently put it, the first overall pick is chosen for you this year. It's Christian McCaffrey. It was last year too, and it would have been barring injury. It doesn't matter what the score says at the end of the year.
Sure.
But the reality is that then Mike had to start getting, making his own decisions rather. And yeah, you might be a Miles Sanders guy who got 4 points last week, but you might be that guy. But everything else is absolute dog shit. I wouldn't have taken a single person in where Mike took basically anybody.
the problem with picking on the horn is you basically have to punt on quarterback and tight end.
Of course.
You're not going to take either of those high because you need to stockpile running backs and wide receivers because 24 of them go before you get to pick again.
Exactly. And you can find a decent quarterback every 10 picks. You can't find a decent running back or wide receiver. You can't fill out the rest of your roster every 10 picks. So that is, or 20 picks rather. So that's why you have to play the game of I have first pick. There's certain positions I can't overinvest in or start runs on or do anything because you're at the mercy of the draft a little bit. So you don't want to start those runs, especially of a position like quarterback, because you can draft them so much later, as we've discussed on this podcast so many times. But if you're going to do that, you can't just take risks at tight end too early either. So you don't do both of those early, and at the horn, you don't do it at all.
And so, Mike, you went Josh Allen 4, Kyle Pitts 5.
Right.
And he could have had
Everybody.
Darrell Henderson, Cooper Kupp instead.
Yep.
Right? Like, his team instantly looks so much better. Mm-hmm. So much better. So he's had a tough go, and it shows in the standings. I mean, he's at the bottom, he's at the basement, and he's trying to figure it out.
Like, if you really want to go at Mikey's team, like, I don't know, like, this early, this quickly, like, the amount of guys that I'm looking at late, like, does Mike's team look better with Christian McCaffrey, Miles Sanders, and just any of the guys that I can look at next? So, David Montgomery and Justin Jefferson, and then Kareem Hunt, and then, like... Jamar Chase, like Aaron Rodgers, like there's every fucking player after both of those picks looks better on his team.
He made a lot of mistakes, but he was inconvenienced. You know, he had to change his perfectly normalized schedule, which he's always so on top of, and organized. Well, he's an organized guy.
That's right? The Mike way.
Yeah. I still don't know if he was coming to the draft or not. He never ended up telling me. I digress.
He didn't talk to me for a few weeks around that time either.
So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. After the 5th round, Ronald Jones, Mike's probably going to cut him. Juju cut. James Conner cut. Zach Moss cut. Mike Williams has had a good couple weeks.
Yeah.
He's been okay.
Yeah.
He picked up the 4th running back in Philly for some reason. I don't know why he did that. So Boston Scott's a cut. And Mark Ingram, why would you want a Houston running back? I don't know. Hope he falls into the end zone. After what? They get some miraculous pass interference call on the one, and he actually gets to run the ball?
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at all of these players, that like Mark Ingram is the James Conner, is the Boston Scott, is the like...
They're all the same.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
These are all bad picks at any point in the draft, let alone as early as he took any of them.
I like to call those guys low floor, low ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, consistent 2 points.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
There is no boom or bust. There's just
I like to
indifference.
I like to draft like one guy, maybe 2 guys that you're probably going to cut after week 1, or they're going to be something
right.
Great.
Yeah.
Mike likes to draft all of them.
Yeah, and now that we're 3 weeks into the season, you'd think that half of those guys would be gone. They're not.
No.
They're starting for his team.
Of course.
Because his team's that... Anyways, okay. And then right after that, we had... Balalon, bonjour. A decent team.
Paul's had a nice start. He really has. He started Derrick Henry, Chris Carson, Josh Jacobs. Got his boy DJ Moore in the 4th, of course. Mark Andrews, Jamar Chase, Jerry Jeudy. Unfortunately, he's hurt, but he had a great first half. Devonta Smith, Devin Singletary, Rashad Penny, Curtis Samuel, Baker Mayfield, Darrington Evans. So we backed up. He's got his handcuffs. I don't like having more than one. I don't even like having a handcuff.
You're not a big handcuff guy.
Well, we got fab budget to spend money on handcuffs, right? So I don't like having them. I'd rather have profitability on my bench.
Well, yeah, but every single player that you just listed has more points and would contribute to Mike's team better than any of the players that Mike drafted that after Christian McCaffrey.
No, 100%.
Oh, sorry, including Derrick Henry. Sorry. So there's not a player on the second overalls pick that wasn't better than the first.
Would you have gone Derrick Henry?
If in this league,
Yeah.
like if I would have had it, yes, I would have.
You would have it too?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Okay.
there's no points for catching passes.
Yeah.
And Derrick Henry they will give him, he will get 140 yards every single game. 110 is embarrassing, and if he doesn't throw one or more touchdowns, it's
Right.
And he's an absolute. The guy is made of muscle and machinery.
Well, he's a big boy.
He's 6'4", 240.
He gets better when it gets colder.
Yes, winter came last week and it was 25 degrees. Guy gets 45 points.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Derrick Henry and everything that he. In our league, any of the guys that run between the tackles, that 95 yards and maybe a touchdown versus your your wide receiver 2 that you might really like. Just taking a peek down here, like the Robert Woodses of the world, for example. It's like, he might get 11 catches, but if it's for 87 yards, the less impressive running back who got 25 touches and 95, it's just for our league values those people. And until or if we ever change it, the guys who will get the rock and they will get 80 yards is more valuable than the guy who might get 16 or might get 2.
Right.
Or like all the 2s that Mike's team has. So anyways, so Paul's team looks much better side by side. Paul is a really good team. He might have went a little too late on quarterback, and by might have, I mean he did. Like, even for our standards. But by the time Paul picked his first quarterback, just doing some quick math here, 14 other quarterbacks have gone before him.
My only issue with his choice was that he didn't. If you're going to stream a quarterback, look at the schedule. He didn't even see who Cleveland was playing in week 1. And he took a run-first offense quarterback.
Right. So, then treat it like, if you're going to go that late, your theory is treat it like a defense.
Yes.
To make it your last pick, and who plays the Jets week 1.
Yeah. Or go the other way. Who's going to be so far behind that all they're going to do is throw the ball?
Right. But still.
The Blake Bortles theory.
Right.
Why was Blake Bortles the greatest fantasy quarterback of all time? They
Ward
were down
Bortles.
by 30 points
Bortles.
at the half, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna throw for 4 touchdowns in garbage time. So and I don't even think Baker's his quarterback anymore. He learned from that. But like I said, if you're gonna punt on quarterback, make sure you're going by the streaming strategy and pick a guy who's got a good matchup.
Sure. Sounds good.
Mr. Nightingale, who was one of the only guys who couldn't draft Mobley, he'd thrown his to the depths of Nicola Lake, unfortunately, earlier that day.
It happens. Does it?
Not. There were 7 of us on the boat, and I assume at least 7 cell phones.
Mm-hmm. And how many came back to shore?
6 at least came back.
Right. Well, Nightingale, who you're talking about, is like a 17-year-old teenager with her first cell phone, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was a Nokia 3310.
Yeah, so whatever. Those are dime a dozen. You might as well just treat them like a Frisbee.
No.
And just all willy-nilly just pull them out and just throw them around. It doesn't matter.
The hilarity of the situation, if it was so... I mean, it was kind of humorous. Well, I mean, he was upset. But to find humor in the situation was that Brad Friend was being dragged behind the boat on the surfboard, freezing his balls off, because he's a little guy. He's a skinny guy. While we had to sort out Nightingale's mental issues.
Yeah,
so, Brad Friend was dying of hypothermia while...
I mean, other than the fact that Nightingale losing his phone, unfortunately, like the only thing that could be talked about from the boat ride was Brad's majestic ride behind the boat.
Oh, he was regal.
Yeah.
He was quite regal.
He's a stoic man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. No, we had some fun that day. Fuck, we had a good time on the boat. Yeah, it was a good time. Sad to anybody who missed it. So, the weird thing about the draft is that for some reason Brad and Nightingale concluded that they could trade draft picks before the draft started.
Right. I still don't know what happened there.
They declared that they were trading draft picks.
Okay.
And I said, we haven't ever done that. But I'm happy if you want to try to vote that through. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, we'll just draft guys and then trade them after. I said, great, do whatever the fuck you want.
Then you force the hand. And I guess that's if that's not collusion, because that's two guys who are doing it for the betterment of themselves. But I still had no idea what the fuck was happening.
It was a weird thing where Brad was telling me who Corey was picked. I didn't care. It didn't much matter to me. So Nightingale, he traded back in the first round. So he actually took Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
And then he took DeAndre Swift, AJ Brown, Amari Cooper, Kareem Hunt, DJ Chark, Aaron Rodgers, David Johnson, Dallas Goedert. So you got to get that second tight end nice and early. You want to back up your tight end.
Yeah.
Right? Chuba Hubbard to make sure he had Mikey's handcuff locked in.
No, I believe Goddard went to Brad Friend too. Brad has.
Oh, there's such a. It was such
Or no, he got his first. I don't know.
It was 1, 2, 3, and 4.
It's going to be tough to analyze
Sure.
either of these teams with their trades because I actually have no idea what.
He took Tariq Cohen. I don't think he plays football anymore. Does he?
He's hurt, but he's still on the Bears.
Okay.
But I think he's. I don't think he's on the pup either. I think he's there. He's entertaining Damian Williams. Sorry.
Unfortunately, Nightingale lost all of his information on his phone, so
He was drafted.
drafting blind.
Now, I will say in defense of Nightingale, if we look at his team today, his team looks better. He's got a good-looking team today.
Okay.
I was looking at it the other day, and he's got a good-looking team. So I don't know what finagling, what whizzle-wazzling had happened at the draft with their trades and whatnot. I'm just saying Nightingale has ended up now with a good team that he drafted, and I'm putting in air quotes because I have no idea, while he was reading the magazine and Brad was tapping his thigh or whatever the fuck they were doing, the Morse code that was the draft trade back and forth that we all just let slide. I mean, everybody was in good spirits, so we were just letting things happen.
Sure.
And everybody was water off the duck's back.
Sure.
But Nightingale now has a good team. I just don't think Darren Waller is on it. I don't think
No.
Dallas Goedert is on it. Like I'm saying, I don't think any of those guys are actually on his fucking
Who
team.
knows what he's got?
Doesn't matter. Nightingale now has a good team.
Okay. Brad Friend goes Dalvin Cook, Darren Waller, Justin Jefferson, Raheem Mostert, T. Higgins, Odell, Prescott, Michael Thomas, Joe Burrow, Alexander J. Green, Zach Ertz. I don't.
But Friend has, again.
Just go from here down. 5 down. His Friend's team.
Okay.
His first pick was.
Okay,
Kamara,
yes, okay.
Kamara, it goes Kamara, Waller,
Okay.
Jefferson, straight down.
Because I was there and I still have no idea.
Yeah, it's all confusing.
And I'm looking at it now and I'm still a little confused.
Yeah. So, Michael Thomas in the 8th.
Early.
Well, how long do you want to have him on? You got to hold him on your bench, right? For so long.
At least 8 weeks.
Yeah. So you got to be that guy who he drafted him, so he's got to keep him. You
Yes.
can't drop him.
Well, no, of course.
So he's stuck with that.
And as a guy who had Michael Thomas from the draft last year, he was an absolute nightmare to have on my team.
Of course.
He was very good the year before. He was a nightmare to have on my team last year. And when he finally started playing, well, I traded him immediately. He actually only started for my team 1 week. But he didn't score a touchdown all season. So I don't know why you'd go that early on Michael Thomas. He's a good player.
Sure.
But he's a solid floor player when he plays, and he won't play for minimum 8 weeks of this season. So I don't know why you would take him. I don't know that anybody else would have. I think that was a reach, if I'm just being honest about that.
Yeah. I mean, he's already dealing with injuries. He lost Mostert. Odell hasn't played. Michael Thomas.
Yeah. But Odell wasn't going to play either. So he really just started to invest early at the same draft position as if the guys would have played.
Sure. He handcuffed his running back in the 10th and has already dropped him. Gronk's looking like the steal of the draft.
Yes.
Is the big man going to keep it going?
Yeah, absolutely.
All he does is catch touchdowns.
All he does is catch touchdowns. And he did from the second half of the year on. If you remember this time last year, we were making fun of, I think, Sully for having Gronk for that long. We were talking about dropping him because he's coming back from injury. He's coming back from his offseason. But there was no time. Sorry, from his retirement, rather. But there was no time for him and Brady and the whole Tampa Bay offense to start clicking. If you look at the rest of the later half of the year, they started clicking, including, of course, the Super Bowl, 2 touchdowns there. And now they're starting on the right foot. So it seemed early, but it shouldn't have.
Sure.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if I say Gronk has 4 touchdowns out of the first 2 weeks, you wouldn't tell me I'm out of my mind.
Yeah.
So,
But he might only have 5 on the year.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
but
Not this year.
I'd like to see.
Who knows?
I'd like to see.
And it wouldn't be a Brad Friend draft without him drafting AJ Green and Zach Ertz at the end of the round there.
He loves Zach Ertz.
Of course he does. Brad Friend likes his guys.
And speaking of guys who weren't gonna like, if it was up in the air, whether or not they were gonna play week 1 by injury or being on a team.
The whole notion of this trade between Brad Friend and Nightingale, swapping their firsts and then swapping some other picks later, was Brad Friend wanted Derrick Henry.
You're right.
So his whole draft went to shit when Derrick Henry went ahead of him, and now he had to commit to this deal that they had made.
Right.
But he should have made it afterwards, barring that Henry was there. He
Right.
didn't have that in his back pocket.
Oh.
So he ended up not even getting Kamara, who he wanted, either as a second guy. He got his third choice, Dalvin Cook.
Oh, okay. Oh, got it. So
And
so it was a
Nightingale
sick
came up.
irony.
Nightingale came up a spot to get the guy he wanted, regardless anyway, and moved up in the second and the third. So
Right.
it was a whole thing.
Well,
Sully,
after 3 weeks, it looks like Nightingale's made the right choice.
sure. Sully was up next. Zeke, Metcalf, Gaskin, Robert Woods, Kenny
Take
G.
Zeke 5th overall. Sorry, keep going, and then we'll talk about Zeke.
Zeke, Metcalf, Gaskin, Robert Woods, Kenny G, Chase Claypool, Russell, Wilson, Philip Lindsay.
It's not a draft if Sully doesn't overvalue a Seahawks player. And there's Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, buddy. Tunyon, Devonta Booker. Why? We don't really know. Tevin Coleman, Marlon Mack, Randall Cobb.
Tevin
Dude,
Coleman.
some of these guys just phone it in at the end of the draft, and that's when I get the most excited.
It's when it takes me the longest, because that's where that's where you get to do what Mike did rounds 2 through 7. You know, throw darts at the ball at the wall, but Mike did it rounds 2 through 7, and I do it rounds 10 through 15, and that's why I'm a way better player than Mike is at fantasy and anything we've ever done.
No one's going for ceiling. Like,
But that's
why are
what
you
I'm
drafting
saying. Like
Devon-
you throw those darts late, not early.
But Sully threw them late, just didn't throw them.
Right.
Why are you throwing darts at Devonta Booker, Tevin Coleman, Marlon Mack, Randall Cobb? Like, those guys
No,
don't have a
he
ceiling.
phoned it the fuck in. That's what I'm saying. Like, so you can phone it in or start throwing darts at the end of
Yes.
the draft. That's the best time to do it.
Yeah.
Is at the end when you take those swings and misses. Mike started throwing darts early and just always misses.
Right. So you don't like Zeke at 5.
I hate Zeke at 5.
Where
And
were you drafting Zeke pre-draft?
the next round?
Not till the second
No,
round.
I wouldn't have taken him. When we get to Patterson's shitty team, we'll talk about Saquon Barkley, because when I heard Saquon Barkley was at 11, I assumed I had missed the first couple picks of the draft because I was dealing with 2 phones and a fucking laptop. So when Barkley went, I thought, oh, good, it's still early enough in the draft, I can figure this all out, because some idiot took that guy too early. And then when I found out that was at 11 and realized that Barkley would have made it to me, I would have been forced to pass on him.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have taken him at either.
Let's talk about that when we get there. Let's
So
talk
Zeke
about why
was
you
the
don't
same
think
for
this-
me.
You didn't like
Zeke
him.
was the
Okay.
same for me. He was shitty last year, except for the first 4 games, and then I guess he had it okay when Tony Pollard was better at the end of the season last year, and Zeke was getting hurt, and I guess Zeke's lost 15 pounds or whatever, but he's a plotter.
But no Dak, right? That was the hard thing to
Yeah,
judge on last.
yes, I get that, but he hasn't looked good for 3-4 years, and he had some flashes last year. Yes, the theory was with Dak, but I just wouldn't have taken him there. I just wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I would have taken Chubb ahead of him. I would have taken Adams, Jones, like almost every player. I would have taken ahead of him. If I would have had to take Barkley and Zeke at the end, I wouldn't have. I still would have went Harris and Gibson, because I just don't trust either of those fucking guys. And that isn't, like, I was saying that on the day of the draft. Like, that doesn't, hindsight being
that's
what
fine.
it is.
Yeah.
Barkley's combined for 8 points, and Zeke had a good week 1, I guess. Like 40 touches and 90 yards and a touchdown.
I still had him as a first rounder, but that's fine. I mean, I did lots of mocks where I ended up taking him at 9.
Yeah.
Or he was around at 9. But a lot of the mocks I didn't go my way anyway.
Yeah.
This time around.
Okay. So Metcalf, another early fucking Seattle receiver.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Miles Gaskin, who I had high hopes for. I liked Gaskin. I thought that was
I had never seen him going in the third though.
that
leading
was
up to it.
super. He was a 5th rounder. I
Yeah.
don't know why he went that early.
Yeah,
But Robert Woods, who I still think is a fine pick. It just hasn't. It looks like Stafford loves Cooper Kupp.
I don't mind Robert Woods and Metcalf because Metcalf's kind of a boomer bust, and Robert Woods is typically safe. So
Yeah.
it's, he's not going to lose you your week.
I just don't like the Seahawks.
Yeah,
That's more of a comment on that than
Yeah.
it is DK Metcalf.
yeah, that's fine.
Galladay, that was a fine pick there. Like
I
that's
was
his,
staying away from Galladay.
that's
all
his
day.
third receiver though, and going into the draft, like again, if we have the benefit of looking back and going, what a dumb pick. But then he was supposed to be the number 1 wideout in New York, and again, when I talk about Najee Harris, it's did I want the number 1 wide receiver in fucking New York last year?
Yeah,
No.
it doesn't matter who it is. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so that's kind of Sully's team. Mm-hmm. There's not much more to talk about there. Hinton up next goes Chubb, Clyde, Montgomery, Julio, Brandon Ayuk, Hawkinson, Robbie Anderson, Tannehill, Boyd, Naeem Hines, Gio Bernard, Justin Fields, and Elijah Moore. I was getting Chubb at 9 almost every mock I did.
I love Chubb. I would have taken him there, no problem. I think
Yeah.
anybody who was lucky enough to get Chubb was.
Yeah.
Like for me, this draft would have been almost Henry, Cook, Kamara, Chubb. Or sorry, I would have put Jones in front of Chubb. Actually, I would have taken Aaron Jones.
Okay.
But he's the only one. Every other running back was behind Nick Chubb for me. So he would have been a top 4 or 5 pick.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, every mock I did, it was him. It was funny enough. It was him or Aaron Jones at 9 always.
I was in love with getting Chubb that late. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like
Yeah.
I mocked 6 times waiting for you guys on the boat, and
We had a great time on the boat, by the way, though.
yeah, I know. I waited for 3.5 hours. You didn't hear a peep out of me.
No.
Funny how that was.
It was weird. You're in a nice setting, sitting. It was a real vista.
Yeah,
Sitting
I
on
was
the deck
inconvenienced slightly,
Sure.
but
not really.
but I'm just saying, like it is kind of what it is. I mean,
Right.
I didn't make a big deal of it.
No.
But-
Should you have? You're a man.
Well, it is what it is. We grow, we learn, we calm down. I was with people I like doing things that I like. Like why would it have been a bad time?
So just like
Even being inconvenienced for 3.5 hours.
Yes, of
right?
course. So just like going too early on, or just like my mocks went, he took Clyde in the second. I was always mocking Clyde at the end of the third.
He's ironically, yes, I agree with you. Hinton's ended up with those guys who I would have just put them switch. So I have no problem with Montgomery where he takes Clyde, and I don't.
And Clyde, yes,
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, he got
So-
Montgomery on a steal. When I saw Montgomery slowly getting towards me, I
Yeah.
was kind of getting a little
Like
excited.
but that's where I would have taken that's fine for 16-17. Like I just Clyde, he had a great week 1 last year when we were all so excited for fucking sports.
Yes.
So every single person watched, I think it was the Texans versus the Chiefs. And Clyde went for 22 points and then just diminished to the point that they brought on Le'Veon Bell, who can't even stay on a fucking practice squad right now. So Clyde was early then. He's early now. If he's not your 4th running back, that's a shitty pick even in the 3rd. Sorry.
Yeah, like he might be your second flex, but
Yeah,
probably
that's
not.
what I'm saying. Like it's like I don't know, and that just it sucks because for the Jamal Charles fan of myself, I've always liked the Spencer Wares or even like any of the dudes who were Chiefs running backs. They've always produced points, except
I
for
don't
Clyde.
think you know the days of Priest Holmes.
No,
Yeah, see, he was game changer.
no.
He was like you knew he was going to go 101 every year. He was the best running back.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he was
yeah.
the man. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Hinton's had some
And
good
he
hits.
played for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hinton's had some good hits. Hawkinson's had a good start to the year for
Yeah.
sure. Really nice. I don't know Gio Bernard why that was a player to take.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Boyd is I assume he's probably cut him. He has to.
I know he's still on his team. He's not happy with his receivers, so he can't. He's not doing much.
He
with
can't
them.
do anything. And then he's got Elijah Moore, who was again. That's the player you like to draft at the end of your draft, because if he sucks, you cut him, and if he turns into be a stud rookie,
I drove home that night with Hinton. I was talking about Hinton's team. Hinton went backs on backs. So even Clyde being there, like I sound like okay, but 14 running backs had already gone, and that was going to be his second. Like it's not that bad of a pick, backs on backs there, like as opposed to getting say Josh Allen or Kyle Pitts, but like you're way better off to start with strong running backs.
Yeah. And then hope to figure it out.
And then you can miss on Brandon Ayuk is what I'm saying.
Right.
Versus, go hard with your second running back being like Leonard Fournette and being happy that you have Terry McLaurin. Like you have fucking Leonard Fournette. You know what I mean? Hypothetically.
Exactly.
So I think Hinton had a good team. I think it's paying off. I just think, unfortunately, I don't think he made any really egregious errors. This isn't Michael Thomas in the 4th round. I think Hinton had a good team, has a decent team, and he's vowed that this year he told me he's not gonna let his heart get into it. He's gonna make some trades and try to make some moves and just do a little bit his regular strategy, but add a little bit more action. So, I mean, we'll see. I think he had a decent draft though.
Well, it's the first one he's attended in 13 years.
Yeah, in person, Hinton can draft pretty decently, I guess. When Mike starts coming back to drafts, because
he's been out for 2 years. I think we have to get him.
So maybe once every 4 years, Mike will show up to drafts.
Yeah.
And he'll do it decently.
He's kind of the new Hinton.
Yeah, well, he's the only Hinton. Like he's the
Hinton's not Hinton.
Because it's like one thing to miss a draft. People miss drafts. It's happened. I've never missed one, but it's happened for sure. But to miss multiple in a row, like
why are you even playing?
Mikey's the new Hinton.
Yeah. Do you even like fantasy football?
Like at the
Do you even like football?
Right. Like at the last draft, Hinton was there, but the draft before that, Mikey wasn't there, and Hinton wasn't there. So Hinton's been to a draft more recently than Mike.
Yeah.
And missed.
Been to more drafts in the last 2 years than Mike has.
Yes. Yeah. And Mike, there's nobody Mike can say that about.
To quote season 1, it's kind of embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
So you like Hinton's team. We move on to Perry's team. Perry with the 0 RB and literally
0 RB.
Devontae Adams, Travis Kelce. Everyone saw that one coming. Shocker. Terry McLaurin, Adam Thielen, Mike Davis, Leonard Fournette, Will Fuller, Kenyon Drake, Corey Davis, Latavius Murray, who he's dropped unfortunately, made a mistake, Pittman, and then Irv Smith and Kirk Cousins to round it out for him.
Yeah. So he went 0 RB, he went 0 quarterback. In a standard scoring league, if you're going to go tight end early, you can't go 0 RB.
Yeah.
He you can't go quarterback early there, you can't go tight end. If he had Calvin Ridley and TJ Hawkinson, his team looks better. Him going that 0 RB is what I'm saying.
Right.
Like take a slight downgrade from Kelce to Hawkinson, and he's got Calvin Ridley as his 4th player, and then he can take fucking Leonard Fournette.
It would almost be Ridley and Hawkinson versus Fuller and Kelce. Like that's almost the difference, right? Yeah. No, I agree. Mike Davis, who you're hoping is the Carolina Mike Davis, which it doesn't look like Atlanta can do anything. Leonard Fournette, who had 2 nice playoff games, I think.
The last game, he was good in the last game.
Okay, so a waste.
Well, it's not that. Okay, sorry. The starting running back for the Bucs will be fine. There's 5 of them though. Tom Brady doesn't not since the law firm has Brady had a run down the middle like a Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
Like he's always had a pass catching back, which is why I think Hinton took Bernard earlier. But Brady doesn't like. There's 5 fucking running backs in Tampa Bay. and that's going to be your number one. You're going to roll the dice on one of the five.
When you get down to the 6, there's not much choice. Like, he could have gone Ronald Jones, and then he could have gone James Conner, David Johnson, Philip Lindsay, Kenyon Drake. Like, there was just nothing left.
I'm looking. No question, I would have went Harris.
You couldn't get him. Oh, Harris instead of Mike Davis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have gone Daryl Henderson.
Henderson and Harris.
Yeah.
And I already like his team better.
Oh, of course. And that's why he's at the bottom of the standings and at the bottom of the fantasy.
Because
relevancy.
in our league, you actually need a somewhat of an okay quarterback, and you definitely need good running backs.
Yes.
You need good running backs.
Yeah.
As somebody who's won as many times as I have, I did not win with great wide receivers and a mediocre quarterback.
No.
And I've won more than anybody.
Yeah.
More than anybody. But you know what I mean? Like that, and it's always been, whether it was fucking Andy Dalton or Blake Bortles or whatever, it does not matter. Last year it was Deshaun Watson. Like, it was, I never draft quarterbacks high, but I always end up with a fucking top 6, top 8 quarterback.
This is probably the highest I've seen you take a quarterback, and that was 8.
Yeah.
Top of the 8s.
Yeah. And so I'm just telling you, you don't win with a shitty quarterback and no running backs. It just doesn't happen. It's never happened.
That, like, it was. I was so surprised that he took the Ravens D over Jalen Hurts.
There you go.
Do you know what I mean?
And
Like,
Ravens D on waiver wires everywhere, and they will not be picked up. And I think they have a decent matchup.
but I'm just saying, if you don't have a quarterback,
Why
there's
the
one-
fuck? I
There's
know.
one who's going to run the ball and probably score a couple touchdowns. Like, you're guaranteed to get points.
Yeah.
So
And when we talk about Tom Brady, I think, like, when we get to my team, I'll talk about the players that were around Brady, which is why I went with Brady.
right, sure. Amit was up next. Aaron Jones, Calvin Ridley, Kittle, Godwin, Darrell Henderson, Cooper Kupp, Lamar Jackson, Cortland Sutton, AJ Dillon, Tony Pollard, Gallup, Devonta Parker, and T.Y. Hilton. Amit's 2-0.
Yeah, and he's doing well.
Yeah.
I mean, like, but Aaron Jones, Calvin Ridley, like, it's...
He's hoping. He needs Kittle to turn it around.
Yeah, but
I like Darrell Henderson in the 5th.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp in the 6th is great.
it's turned out very, very well. Like,
Yeah.
that was... Like, he's knocked it out. But again, I'd rather, going side by side, I'd rather Lamar Jackson than Will Fuller.
Oh, if you were Perry.
If I was fucking
100%.
Perry, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that, it was
Yeah.
just...
Yeah, I
So
mean,
wha-
getting Lamar following to him in the
Yeah.
7th is great.
Sutton now?
Sutton's going to be the man now.
Yeah.
AJ Dillon was a kind of a little bit of a sweetheart before the season. He's got Aaron Jones, so he's
Yeah.
covered.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then he gets Pollard, who...
The new Zeke.
Yeah, the new Zeke. So they should try to make a move, but here we are.
I've got no time for Michael
He's
Gallup
got
this
Michael
year.
Gallup, I think, like, in his IR.
Okay, well, I'll figure that out.
No, I'm not even saying that as, like, a slight. It's just, like, why
just-
draft Michael
Right.
Gallup? Like, that's his biggest swing and miss the entire draft here.
Yeah.
Steelers D, Parker, Hilton, like, who cares? Start throwing darts like what Mike did in the 3rd round. Anyways.
So we'll see if Kittle can turn things around this year, but
Yeah.
he got great value on Lamar Jackson,
Yeah,
great value on
he's got a
Cooper
good team.
Kupp, and on Henderson. So he's 2-0, and maybe Amit finds it. You know, he's got that good juju hosting us.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Well, he's a good guy, and he usually drafts well, and he plays. He tries to be as active as
Yeah.
as he can be. You know,
But he's got time for the rest of us, normal folk.
yeah,
Yeah, the peasants.
the peasants,
Yeah.
the proletariat.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's usually a pretty good fantasy player. Like he's made risky moves in the past. He usually makes it to the playoffs. I mean, certain guys, like, when you play with them long enough, like their teams have certain styles. Amit drafts well, plays well, and just can't make it to the dance because he kind of peters off. Perry drafts like a fucking, I think, way more unpredictable than people give him credit for. But then he waits till week 4, week 5 to start making trades. So this will be this year's Will Perry drop Drew Brees or trade Aaron Rodgers, whatever we had that time.
Yeah.
When will Perry do this? But will Amit change anything, or just hope that this is the year he drafts well, plays well, and takes him the whole way? Maybe he's got a good team.
Hey, if not me, then him.
Well, why not? At this point,
Anything's possible. And he was hosting
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
We had a
You
great
guys
time.
are very similar. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's funny.
Right.
But you do it in spite of everybody else.
100%.
You just want to sit in the sandbox.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they offer you a slide.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, fuck you, I'll build my own slide. Then leave the playground. No, I'm still hanging out in your
Yeah,
guys' sandbox.
Yeah.
Whereas Amit's just like, oh yeah, you got a slide, I got a slide, we're all here hanging out together. He's like, I want all the fucking slides. Okay, anyways, go ahead.
I was in the 9 slot. Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, James Robinson, Keenan Allen, Kyler, Lockett, Debo.
Do you want to talk about your boy James Robinson? Because we just...
J.K. Dobbins, Jamal Williams,
Okay.
LaVisca, Russell Gage, Ramonde Stevenson, Tyler Higbee. So, all my prep, I was taking Chubb or Aaron Jones at 9. They were both gone, which gave me the same dilemma you talked about, where it's like, I'm here at 9, and I'm hoping Barkley's already gone, because that means someone I actually want to follow. And now I have to pass on Barkley.
Yes. And you made the right call.
No, and all I did was think, am I going to have to pass on him again in the second?
Oh, yeah.
That's all I could think about.
Yes, because you would have... you're in the exact same position.
Yep. So, and I could have gone so many different ways, but Jonathan Taylor was where I landed. Funny enough, in the second round...
I own 0 Jonathan Taylor. How is he doing? Okay, fine.
He hasn't scored yet, but he's getting all the touches.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Just... with Wentz just getting hurt, like who knows what that offense is
Yep.
going to do. But it's not a bad pick. That's why I want to keep going back to James Robinson. How do you feel about that?
Right, but then on the turn, I was always getting Eckler or Gibson, who both ended up going. So I landed on Mixon, which I was fine with. I mean, if he can stay healthy, he gets the ball so much that something should happen.
Yes, if he can stay healthy. And it was a good sign they got rid of Gio, right? Like that's always been Mixon's kryptonite. Not kryptonite, but just his... Gio, he gets hurt, Gio takes over and looks not remarkably better, but slightly better from a fantasy standpoint.
Yeah.
So they get rid of Gio. They have faith in Mixon. He's got a healthy offseason. They say they're going to give him the ball 30 times, but they've said that every year for the last 3 years. He's a dice roll, but it's just his health.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy, they've got a good offense, and they're committed to him.
Yeah.
It's so far, Joe Mixon's a good pick there. Better than Hilaire, for sure.
Sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. So James Robinson in the third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you love him, and he's your sweetheart from last year, and this is
he also finished running back 5 last year.
Yeah, I know. But you picked him up before week 1. You didn't draft him.
No.
And I know that because you picked him up 15 minutes after I picked up Josh Kelly, and then I went back to go drop Josh Kelly for what's his face.
Oh, and he wasn't there.
Ooh. And I was like, "Fuck, that was a good pickup."
So I thought Monty was gonna fall. I missed him by 2 picks. So in that spot, it was Robinson for me. It was Robinson, Edmonds, or actually Darrell Henderson was the 3 that I was thinking of taking.
But you wanted to go back to Old Faithful. And after 3 weeks, how do you feel about it? Like, this is the only player that I really... Like, that is an injury. Like, I was going to pile on Zeke no matter what. I will get to Barkley. But Robinson...
You didn't have any James Robinson?
0 James Robinson.
14 touches last week, so significantly up. He was on the field for like 80... Or he had 87% of the carries. So he'll be okay. I mean, their team's not worse than it was last year.
I don't know if they're not. Turnover Trevor, pal. They'll be saying that by week 8.
Yeah, well,
ESPN.
I don't even know who their quarterback... Oh, Minshew. Gardner. He's an Eagle now. Yeah, so...
He's an Eagle now.
Would I rather have taken... I guess, Darrell Henderson would have been probably my go. Keenan Allen... There, I was hoping for CeeDee Lamb, but that's okay. He snanked me, so I took Keenan Allen. I went earlier than I wanted to on Kyler, but I know Kurt likes Kyler, and I know Patterson likes to have a good quarterback. So I figured they had 4 chances to get him before he came back to me. So I took him.
Murray's your quarterback going into the draft.
Yeah,
and then you just went when you thought you had to take him.
I wanted him in the 6th, and looking at who was behind me, I just figured I go now and see what happens. See if Lockett falls, which he did, which has worked out well. Debo, I took a flyer on J.K. Dobbins because we didn't know yet what was going on.
Right.
And when I looked at who was available, it was, am I going to take a risk that J.K. Dobbins comes back, or am I going to wait for Michael Thomas in week 8?
Right.
So that's fine. He's already gone, and I've already picked up somebody better.
Okay.
That's it, buddy.
Well, no, it's a pretty good draft. And then you got, but you're missing out on Jamal Williams. Chenault, I think Laviska's hurt. But, and again, with that offense, who knows?
Yep.
Russell Gage, is he still on your team?
No.
No. I think he's got COVID.
It didn't matter. He was again. Is he going to be that? Is he going to
Yeah.
be the next Calvin Ridley? Okay.
And Higbee looked great week 1.
Awful last week.
So he's remains to be seen. But you take risks at tight end that early. That's okay.
Yeah.
The only one, no, it's a good draft. It's a good draft. But again, a running back heavy draft, and the team still looks okay 3 weeks in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this, it's
As in 2-0 and the most points for.
Yeah, but that's just a common fucking theme. Strong running backs win championship. Strong running backs and strong quarterbacks, unfortunately. So, anyways, so if you're not going to try to make moves for them fucking later, then don't go any other way.
Kurt goes Eckler, Diggs, Mahomes, Allen Robinson, Melvin Gordon, Sony, Herbert.
It's early.
Carter,
That was early on the show.
Landry, Gesicki, Damian Williams, Marvin Jones, J.D. McKissick. Again, he's at that point where he's got to let Saquon go past.
Yeah, I think he made the right call there.
Yeah. I didn't have Eckler as high. I probably would have gone Najee or Gibson.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Takes Diggs in round 2, which is probably the best wide receiver on the board at that point.
Yep.
And then Patty Mahomes in the 3rd. And no one went till the back of the 4th after him. So I feel like it's so early. Like if he lets Mahomes go, you don't take him.
No.
At your turn. Does Patterson take him? I don't think so.
No.
At 3-4?
No.
So he flips this up for Chase Edmonds and Patrick Mahomes, and his team looks way better.
I agree. 100%, actually. Yeah.
And then he kind of flew off the handle. He took Sony in the 6th.
I think he was driving, but yeah.
He pocket dialing or pocket drafting. I don't know. Backs up Mahomes with Herbert in the 7th.
Yeah, which is fucking insane to do two quarterbacks that early. I don't have one, and he has 2 at that point.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, that is just 2 misses completely in the draft. And I don't know why he did it. He's not a big trade guy either. And it's like, why waste that capital? Mm-hmm. I would make fun of anybody who did that. It was not a good call. Because take a flyer fucking 5 rounds later on Jalen Hurts or Fields or, know, like any of the high upside guys later on if you want to take 2 quarterbacks. But to do it 3rd round, 7th round, it's fucking insane. It's a terrible move. Every part about that was bad.
And it's showing.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Patterson up next took the landmine and took Saquon.
Yep. Oh, he loves a Giants running back.
Tyreek, Mike Evans, CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver heavy. Leaves him with Javonte Williams, Damian Harris, Jalen Waddle. He goes Stafford, Fant, and Lawrence. And then Todd Gurley, Henry Ruggs, and Jerick McKinnon.
I like that you finished like Todd Gurley in week 3.
I was like, is he still on?
No. So in week 3, we might go, which ended up being a really good pick by Brad, but instead it's been Todd Gurley's tried out for 6 teams since week 1, and when he drafted him, and nobody still wants Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
So, and I bet you he's still on his fucking team.
So you're thrilled that Barkley goes before you after pick?
Yes. Yeah, I'm literally hearing, okay, Saquon Barkley, and I'm going, oh, great, I've got 5 picks before I have to make this horrible decision. And I'm like, no, he went right before me. Oh, my God, I should start paying. I haven't been paying attention at all. So then I go, well, you can read it.
We can finish with Patterson first. Yeah, you didn't give him any love. Is it because he's in the basement, or is it?
No, okay, well, Brad usually drafts in the top 4 somehow, but his team usually is really, really good because Brad usually goes running back heavy because he always gets like 2 or 3 stud running backs, and then he goes quarterback for some insane reason. Like, Brad usually drafts a fairly balanced team and takes the best at the position that's available. So for him to go this heavy wide receiver early and just miss completely on fucking running backs, it's just not like Brad. And I don't know that Brad has the add drop and or trade potential to manipulate his team enough so that Javonte Williams isn't his fucking second running back.
Well, his number
because
one
he's
running-
never done well.
His number one running back, he got in the 6th at Damian Harris, which has been which is good. But he needed that to hit.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not a Brad team, but Brad usually ends up in the top 5 for some of draft. Like he always
when you finish low, you just draft high.
But he always has like most points and gets knocked out week 1. His teams are usually good, and it's usually because he has
a good draft. Yeah.
Yes,
he sets a good foundation.
Yes, he gets the Henrys, he gets the McCaffrey, and then he pairs that with a Chris Carson, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's a pretty good team.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean? Like you need it doesn't matter. He loves Mike Evans. He loves Saquon Barkley. CeeDee Lamb. Like, it's a balanced team, like I say, but it's not. He should have just went better running back, better running back, better running back, and then started doing everything else.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, because I like that team with 3 running backs and CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Kupp.
Yes.
You're up last on the horn, buddy.
Yeah.
Najee, Antonio Gibson, Chase Edmonds, Gus Edwards, Deontay Johnson, Trace Sermon, Brandon Cooks, Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Logan Thomas, Jalen Hurts, Darnell Mooney, and some guy I can't see in the corner.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's probably not on my team anyways.
Yeah.
So I went back to backs on backs, which was my goal.
Different from last year.
Because Julio Jones falls to you.
You got to go wide.
You got to go wide receiver. But I was at 11th spot last year, and I went Devontae Adams and Julio Jones.
Yeah.
And then DK Metcalf was next, and then it was all receivers, and then I went, holy fuck, I got to make 100 trades to try to get some running backs because this is a terrible move. And I did. And you know what I mean? Like, go back and listen to last year's week 1, and you'll hear all about it. But this one, it was backs on backs on backs on backs on backs. So I was fine with Najee, but I wasn't after week 1. Antonio Gibson, I was happy with. I would have taken him ahead of Najee, like if that would have made people feel better about it. But I should have went in hindsight. I think I would have been happier with either Mixon or Carson or Sanders than I was with Najee Harris. And I know it's easy. Like I felt that after that day. I felt it after week 1. He even got it. I've already since traded him away, which is what I do. But is
like you would have rather gone Gibson, Mixon.
Yes. Yeah. And which is why I traded him.
Right.
Which is why I'm higher still with Mixon having the lackluster first 2 weeks.
Right.
And I'm still saying I would have made that call.
Yeah.
So it was like that. Yeah. So that was my toss up. So going Barkley, I hope this doesn't end up biting me in the ass, but I didn't think it was going to. I still fucking don't. I'd still take Harris or Gibson over Barkley. I'd take Mixon over him. Swift, Carson, Sanders, Jacobs. Like, it's not till we get to Gaskin, still Montgomery. So it's, for me, he's CEH Gaskin level. Like that.
Right.
That's when I take Barkley.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was happy that I did the 4 running backs, and then even Trey Sermon, that was a good pick as my 5th running back.
Well, he's dead now.
Well, he's dead now. Well, actually, he's the only healthy because his shoulder doesn't even work. So he's actually out of.
No, but he actually died last week.
Yeah, but he's out of concussion protocols. They're going to run him out there.
So
Jermichael Hasty's out for 3 or 4 weeks.
Is there a warm body? They'll run him out.
Well, yeah, and if Trey Sermon can, not die again, whatever. When we're talking about my 5th running back.
Well, he's quickly become. You traded away Najee. Gus is dead. He's your 3rd running back right now. But that's okay. I digress. You've already made moves.
Well, no, he's still my 5th running back.
Yeah.
He's still maybe even my 6th at this point.
And what about Gus? Why did you take Gus at 4?
Well, I rolled the dice. I wanted the starting running back of the Baltimore Ravens, and we had just watched J.K. Dobbins die, so I thought that was the right call, and I still think it is. I think if we knew it was Latavius Murray, if we knew it was Tyson Williams, it wouldn't matter. That's why you went Dobbins 4 rounds later because that risk of if he's the starting running back, I want him.
Yeah.
And it's only now that they've split it up crazy because usually it was the 2 guys.
Of course.
So I would have taken Dobbins there, and that's exactly what I thought about Gus. I was like, oh, if J.K. Dobbins was still fucking here, because he was on the draft boards because it just happened 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'd take him, so I'll take Gus Edwards because it was going to be a round later.
Right.
So
Okay.
So that's why I took him. And if he didn't blow his ACL, I bet you I'd still like him. And then I did Deontay Johnson, which, to be honest, I had no Deontay Johnson last year.
Okay.
And I just know he's their slot guy. Mm-hmm. And Ben can't
Catches
throw.
a lot of balls.
Yeah, and Ben can't throw deep. And he just, the more you watch the Steelers last year, and it's like, their defense isn't going to be as good. They're going to be playing catch up more, and Ben can't throw the deep ball anymore. So I didn't like Claypool, and I didn't like Juju. Even though Juju isn't a huge wideout, like he doesn't play on the outside, but he's not the slot guy.
Yeah.
So what's his face is going to get 14. What's his face? My number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson's
Yeah.
going to get 15 targets a game.
Yep.
And that's why I was like, okay, I guess I'll take him. But when Claypool and Juju went later, I was like, did they just get the number 1 wide receiver for the Steelers? Like I was like, oh,
You didn't really know.
yeah, no, I just went with that. I went by rankings. And then Brandon Cooks, who I have in every single league, I had him because I know for the first 6 weeks he's going to catch 1,000,000 balls because they have nobody else to throw to. And I say that for the first 6 weeks because Brandon Cooks has no knees or head.
Oh yeah.
So as long as he's healthy, he's going to be amazing.
Sure.
But he's had, I think, 8 concussions or 9. So he doesn't hold. He's not durable.
No.
Unfortunately, he's a good player. He used to be with the Rams. Was with the Patriots. Like he's a good player, but he's injury prone. Unfortunately, so I have him. He's paid off. I've switched him out with Najee. I mean, like talking about my team now is still kind of ridiculous because I don't have any. And Antonio Brown's my next player, who has COVID now.
Yeah.
And that was a good pick. I have Logan Thomas in a lot of leagues because he was where I valued Hawkinson. I look wrong there, but I have.
That's okay. You're allowed to, pal.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you got that anchor on your bench, Jalen Hurts.
I
You're
know.
never gonna start.
I know. My fifth. Might as well put a COVID IR spot.
Yeah.
Because I will trade him to somebody who's desperate on a bye week for a wide receiver 3.
Sure.
Which is just not like a guy who I might not start.
Yeah.
He will be an add-in to a package to make somebody else's team better.
Of course.
But that's what the team is.
So you're happy, but you've already made some moves. You
so
had a tough week 1, but you put up the second most points in the league. So
Yeah.
You did your best.
Yeah. And week 1 we were the matchup that everybody wanted to see. It was a rematch of the finals.
Of course.
Right? And
Yeah, you
it's the
start off.
Gurus.
Well, who didn't want to see it?
You're going, hey, the Gurus are playing each other. What are they doing? Putting up a performance that would embarrass everybody else in the league.
Everybody else.
So it's funny how those idiots who we all mock and talk shit about quietly in the corner and say that they get lucky and or whatever with completely different styles, me and you, but we have a similar interest in players. But they can be all upset. But yeah, week 1 who did Hinton play? I don't know. Anybody
cares?
know who Brad Friend played?
Nobody cares.
No, exactly.
Who are the Jets playing this weekend?
Exactly. If it's not the Pats, I don't even care. Like I don't care then. So it's the same thing. It's you can have your thoughts, your opinions. You can shoot your mouth off, and you can be upset. But cream rises to the top, and it's why we have a podcast, and you're fucking listening to it 1 hour and 3 minutes in.
Well, that's exactly it. So let's do this. We'll recap the first 3 weeks next week.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So it's
this
all
was
clean,
3
great
weeks
package.
into
Yeah,
1 hour.
yeah. And then we'll figure it out from there.
And it's 1 a.m. You gotta be up.
I got kids.
This is a bad decision. I did not realize how late it was.
We'll catch you next week.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Love you too. Mwah, big kiss.